Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain. Many of the stories read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com with a whole lot of other stories that are available for your reading pleasure. Here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Two Olympic Peninsula tribes say federal, state, and county officials have failed to protect tribal shellfish beds in Morrowstone Island's Mystery Bay of Washington in violation of treaty rights. The Jamestown Tribe of Blinn and the Port Gamble Tribe of told federal, state, and local agencies in a recent letter that they were concerned about the increasing number of boats moored in the bay. Both tribes have commercial shellfish harvesting beds in Mystery Bay. State health officials are considering reclassifying the shellfish growing areas as prohibited or conditional over concerns that the number of boats or mooring buoys pose a potential pollution problem. In their May 21st letter, the tribes noted the situation has gotten worse since 2000, with more and more boats moored in the bay each year. Interior Secretary Ken Salazar says he stands behind the investigation that resulted in the indictments of 24 people accused of illegally trafficking ancient artifacts from the Four Corners area. Responding to a question from the Associated Press at the Western Governors Association meeting this week, Salazar said he didn't have any regrets about the case involving residents of Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. Last Saturday, Utah's two U.S. senators said they want Congress to investigate the actions of federal agents who arrested 23 of those indicted last week following a 2-year undercover investigation. The Republicans said the raid was overkill. Salazar said laws intended to protect American Indian artifacts from harm should be followed, and federal agents did what they had to do in carrying out the investigation and the arrests. Notah Begay III, and the only American Indian golfer on the PGA Tour, is tapping his roots as he builds an $8.5 million course on a reservation in Kansas. He said the tribal land must be asked what it wants you to do. The 18-hole Firekeeper Golf Course, Begay's first signature course, will cover 240 acres near the Prairie Band Potawatomi Casino and Resort on a reservation near Mayetta. Named for the Prairie Band, known as the Keepers of the Sacred Fire, Begay said the course should be ready to open next summer. Begay, a member of the Navajo Nation, said the needs of the land come first. He said a prayer, talk to the land and ask what it wants you to do, he said in announcing the project. We incorporate into it the natural design of the land. We didn't want to add things that weren't naturally there or needed. Begay said the Par 72 course will employ about 30 people and will include a clubhouse, driving range, and a practice green. The 21st visit of the Wellbriety Journey for Forgiveness took place on the Saginaw Chippewa Tribe reservation in Mount Pleasant, Michigan on Wednesday, June 17th. Nearly 600 participants gathered to hear the many presentations on healing from the historic trauma of the Indian boarding school era. Tribal Chief Fred Cantu Jr. opened the day with remarks during a sunrise ceremony. Mount Pleasant is the site of a former Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial School, a boarding school which was in existence from 1893 to 1993. To see video of the event, go to sagchip.org, that's sagchip.org, to read stories and see photos of the previous visits on its 40-day, 6,800-mile journey for forgiveness to Washington, D.C., or to sign the petition of apology for abuses at the U.S. Indian boarding schools. Go to www.whitebison.org. 3 Native organizations in South Dakota will enhance their financial education and home buyer education programs through a grant program from First Nations Owista Corporation. With funding provided by the Federal Home Loan Bank of Des Moines, Owista is awarding the second year of the South Dakota Native Financial Education Grant. The $2,000 grants go to Native organizations delivering financial education training and/or home buyer education to Native people in South Dakota. The 2009 recipients are the Oglala Sioux Tribe Partnership for Housing, 4 Bands Community Fund on the Cheyenne River Reservation and the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Financial Education Initiative. The first round of grants given out in 2008 enabled at least 120 adults and middle and high school students to participate in financial education and home buyer education courses. Education programs in 7 states, Arizona, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Oregon, and South Dakota, have been selected to receive nearly $3.8 million to provide training programs to recruit and graduate new American Indian teachers and school administrators, U.S. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan announced. These professional development grants will help us find, train, and retain the very best teachers and administrators within American Indian communities, said Duncan. These grants represent opportunity both for teachers and their students. The grant award is part of the Office of Indian Education's Professional Development Program, which trains qualified individuals to become teachers and administrators in Indian communities. Work has begun on a garden to grow the ingredients for traditional tobacco in an effort to reduce the number of American Indian youth who use commercial tobacco. Ground was broken this Monday at the Missoula Indian Center, an organization that offers health care and a chemical dependency program for American Indians. Dana Kingfisher, who works at the center, says the garden will help educate youth about the sacred role of traditional tobacco. It's like a religion to our people, Kingfisher said. Traditional plants such as red willow, kinnikinnick, bearberry, sweetgrass, and sage will be grown in the garden along with some vegetables. The latest issue of News from Indian Country is now being mailed and shipped out from the printers with the latest updates of powwows, including the cancellation of several of the big contest powwows across the country and in the Great Lakes region. Those cancellations include the 17th Annual St. Croix Casino and Motel Contest Powwow at Turtle Lake, Wisconsin, the 14th Annual Ho-Chunk Nishla Powwow at Lake Delton, Wisconsin, the Skamitzen Contest Powwow in Mashantucket, Connecticut, the 15th Annual Benton Powwow in Benton, Pennsylvania, and the 5th Annual Peakatonic in Rockton, Illinois. Those are powwows that join others that were not scheduled this year at all, but were listed as possible powwows in the January News from Indian Country Powwow Directory. Join us on Friday, June 19th from the porch of the Indian Country Trading Post for the second Honor the Earth fundraiser cookout and cookout from the grill, and also on Saturday the 20th for Live from the Trading Post. That is all in the LCO Great Lakes digital player at IndianCountryTV.com. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank our underwriters for helping us with this broadcast and for you for stopping in and joining with us again. Miigwech.